How do you effectively use the running forehand technique? How should you move to the ball and recover from your shot? And what is the secret to unlocking this awesome shot into your game? You've seen some of the greatest players in history use the running forehand to significant effects. You've got Sampras, Federer, Nadal, and a ton of other greats, dazzling fans and opponents with unbelievable winners, and all pretty much seemingly out of nowhere. It's without a doubt a key shot to have at your disposal to play at a pretty high level of tennis, because when you think about it, most of the shots that you hit are on the run, aren't they? Not a lot of opponents ever try to aim perfectly at your strike zone, but with a perfectly executed running forehand, it won't matter where you hit from, you'll be able to handle it with ease. And not only will you get out of defensive situations well, but you can pretty much get an immediate advantage with a down-the-line counterattack for a winner. And the alternative, well, you can just float the ball up and hope they missed. So then the million-dollar question, what is the proper way to hit a running forehand? Well, today you're gonna learn exactly how to execute the running forehand footwork pattern, the top mistakes that players make when you're hitting the forehand on the run, how you should be moving and recovering from your shots, and exactly why the reverse forehand is the secret to unlocking this awesome shot. Plus, you're gonna wanna stick to the very end because I've compiled a couple of drills to help you take this out onto the court. Let's go. What's up, athletes? You're here because you believe that you can max your potential on the tennis court with the law of success. Learn, apply, and win. And now, to help you apply this technique into your game, I want you to pause this video and grab your racket, and I want you to follow my lead. Now, like all shots, the running forehand starts with the split step. Especially with this shot, you want to use the gravity step so that you can really easily shift your body weight in the direction of the ball. Now from here, you want to make sure that you're using a crossover step rather than just a shuffle step so that you can get to the ball early enough to be able to prepare. Now, once you get close to the ball, you want to start pushing off your outside foot, which is, for all you righties, the right foot, and you want to push it towards the ball. Now, I want you to perform a crossover step, bringing your left leg, your back leg, in front of your front leg. And you basically want to do almost a sprinting motion off of your back foot, like this. So by following these tips, compared to the shuffle step, you'll be able to save time as well as maintain and maximize your momentum moving towards the ball. And as a result, you'll get to the ball faster and you'll have a better chance of hitting a high quality running forehand. Now, when you reach the ball, you have two main options for the running forehand footwork. So first, you can load in an open stance with your hips and feet more open to the net or the baseline. Now, you'll start from a fairly wide open stance with your weight loaded on the back leg. Now, the second option is where your hips and feet will point further to the side. And this style typically will involve you loading on the back foot and you propel your body forward with immense force. Now, the first option will make it easier to hit cross court with depth as you're in more of an open stance to the net. And it'll also allow a slight faster recovery since you're already open to the net. And the second option, well, it allows you to load on your outside foot more and explode forward with your running footwork pattern without losing a lot of balance. This makes it especially useful for extremely wide balls that won't allow you to get into an open stance on balance. In either way, you'll be pushing off your back leg and making contact with the ball before your front leg touches the ground. If you hit the ball after your front foot lands, you'll be striking from sort of a closed stance, and that's a big mistake. Because striking from a closed stance on the run is going to hinder your ability to load up your back leg fully and the amount of coil that you can achieve through your shot. And that's going to end up reducing the amount of power and racquet speed that you can generate. And if you're running through your shots, planting your feet into a closed stance will also slow you down and it won't allow you to maintain balance through the shot. So to recap so far, you're swinging from a variation of an open stance with most of your weight on the back leg before you start the forward swing. And you're making contact in the air before your left foot touches the ground. All right, now after your left foot touches the ground, I want you to plant your back foot towards the outside of the court to decelerate your momentum. Then I want you to perform a crossover step off your outside foot to recover for the next shot. If you try to use a shuffle step to get back to the center of the court, you'll have to take more steps and it'll be slower. Without a fast recovery on your running forehand, you're leaving your backhand side of the court open for your opponent to attack on. Now, this is one of the reasons why the crossover step is so crucial when you're hitting on the run. So I want you to start your recovery with one large cross over when you're sort of stretched out wide and adjust later with some smaller side steps. Now, one great tool to have at your disposal when you're hitting the running forehand is the reverse forehand. And this is the secret behind what makes this shot so effective. The reverse forehand is the signature shot of a particular Spanish player that you might have heard of. Now, this reverse forehand is an excellent shot when you've been pulled off the court because it's going to steepen the upward swing path of your racket head. Now, basically, you're going to be able to generate more topspin and keep a pretty safe net margin with the reverse forehand. And having lots of extra topspin in your running forehand is extremely helpful for several reasons. First of all, extra topspin is super valuable when you're out wide because the net is at its highest point towards the poles. Now, because of this, if you ever decide to hit your running forehand down the line, increasing the trajectory of your shot is going to allow you to hit the ball with a lot more consistency. And this brings me to the next point. The reverse forehand is so great out wide because it'll allow you to return your opponent's relatively offensive shot with a high deep ball with decent pace and spin. This is going to give you more time to recover for your next shot as opposed to a regular flat drive and take the option of making a winner on the backhand side as far as your opponent is concerned completely off the table. So by returning your shots with depth and spin, you're going to neutralize the rally and you'll find yourself less on the defensive end. Now, the one caveat is that your opponent, if they're particularly skilled at hitting the ball on the rise or taking the ball out of the air, this is going to allow them to rush into the net for a cross-court winner. So your best shot is to usually use the counterattack for a down-the-line shot. But this is usually something you don't have to face unless you're at a higher level of play. Now, lastly, being on the run, it means that you probably don't have a lot of time to hit a traditional modern open stance. Now, like we talk about in our course, the semi-open stance, the preferred finish for this shot is across the body instead of up over your head. But for this shot, attempting to finish across your body with a running forehand can be kind of awkward physically, considering the hitting arm and shoulder are generating momentum in the opposite direction that you're moving in. So the traditional across the body finish, especially with more extreme grips, is going to require you to rotate further through the shot, sometimes almost a completely 180 degrees. And this simply isn't really possible when you're hitting on the run. The reverse forehand allows you to maintain a good extension through the shot when you're stretched out wide, plus it's going to require less torso rotation through your shots, which you can't really do on the running forehand. So this makes it possible to generate good pace, depth, spin, even when you don't have the time to properly position yourself in a semi-open or neutral stance. Now, although the reverse forehand looks wildly different from a traditional forehand, for the most part, they're pretty similar. The biggest difference is that you're going to be swinging with a much steeper upward trajectory, like I said earlier. As you extend through your shot, your racket should be above or near your head and shoulder level. And then as you extend through your shot, the racket should be around the eye level and reversing in the direction back around to the right side of your body. When you execute this shot, I want you to be mindful of the range of motion of your shoulder. If you try to do your reverse follow through too far behind your head, you're gonna end up putting unnecessary stress on your shoulder joint and your rotator cuff muscles. And if your shoulder is out of whack, well, you can't hit any sweet running forehands. All right, drill time. So I've got Deitra here with me, so let's dive into the 3 drills that I use to develop the running forehand technique. So first we're gonna use a medicine ball drill, and you know, other players, they'll find while hitting the running forehand, when you're moving your upper and your lower body in opposite directions, it's kind of awkward. So, and a lot of players, they feel themselves arming the ball when they're out wide just because they lack the body rotation to be able to hit on the run. So the medicine ball is gonna help with both. So to start off, I want to use the medicine ball to start catching it and then coordinating the upper body and lower body turn. So I'll start off with one showing you exactly how to go. So I'm gonna turn away from the ball and then turn. Once I turn, this left leg that I covered earlier is going to coordinate by stepping forward just like this during the shot. Boom. Again. So don't worry about getting off the ground. That'll be used for a progression drill later. But for now, just focus on turning, coordinating, turning in with the step. So do around 20 reps of these, 2 to 3 sets. And then as you start to progress, you can start incorporating the moving towards the ball, using the leg, recovering. Good, right? And then make sure the last progression you can use is using the drop step like we covered earlier. So split stepping, moving, running, recovering one big step to the center. So here's drill number 1 in action. So after you've practiced all of the progressions for the medicine ball, grab your racket for the next drill. So I want you to start from a stationary open stance position again and start your forward swing. Now, instead of following through all the way or getting into your air, I want you to just do a basic progression drill first of starting from the end of the backswing all the way until your contact point, and also make sure that your front leg steps forward in front of you as if you were doing the running forehand without launching into the air. Now for this, the key is to make sure that you're not swinging and then stepping into a close stance like we talked about in earlier. So make sure that you push off your back leg, timing the rotation forward, and by the time you land, you're in the optimal contact position. This time, I want you to progress to making your front leg go in front of your back leg at contact. So you're gonna start becoming more airborne, just like this. Now you can repeat this about 500 times. I know that's a big number, but that shouldn't take longer than about 5 to 10 minutes. And you can do about 2 to 3 sets of this. And then eventually you can start implementing the 2 to 3 steps to the ball, hitting the shot, stopping at contact, and then focusing on the recovery like in the last drill. For drill number 3, we're gonna be focusing on strictly isolating the reverse forehand follow through, which is fundamental to a solid running forehand. So I want you to start with your right knee on the ground, starting from the contact position in a close stance, just like this. Now from here, from your contact position, you can focus on extending through the shot and do some shadow swings. And once you do about 500 reps of this, you can start by drop feeding yourself. So let's start off from the contact position. And finally, you can piece all of this together using the upper body and the lower body combined to perfectly execute the running forehand. So here we go. All right, so we covered a lot about the running forehand today. So let's do a little bit of a recap on the running forehand. Instead of shuffling to the ball, make sure to cross over with running steps to allow you to get to wide balls faster. Or you can load with your hips further to the side and run through the shot. In either case, make sure that you're pushing off the outside leg and making contact while your front foot is still in the air. Use the crossover step, especially if you're out wide, for a faster recovery for the next shot. And finally, use the reverse follow through because it's pretty awesome. So athletes, you've learned. Now comment below how you're going to apply this video and any questions that you might have about the running forehand. Some of you guys have said with a healthy dose of criticism that you need more actionable techniques. So I definitely hear you. We're definitely going to start improving these videos. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up just to let us know how we're doing. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, go out and train hard. See you in the next video.